Alright, everybody. Just a little behind schedule, even for my delayed till 8 o'clock announcement. Hope you'll forgive me. Okay, so, gonna change things up very slightly, uh, basically because I want to do my branding real quick at the beginning of this stream, for the purposes of YouTube viewership later on. So, for you YouTube viewers out there, if you'd like to catch me live, you can do so at twitch.com/canman87gaming. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at canman87gaming. It's where I announce when I'll be going live, what I'll be playing, things of that nature. So, um, those are the best ways to know when I'm going to be doing some streams. So if you want to catch that, feel free to join in. Alright, so today, got the new standard set, Zendikar Rising. It's finally out now on digital platforms anyway. And I did play some of this yesterday. Not a whole lot. Servers were kind of bugging out. Probably just because there were a billion people trying to do the same thing. But things seem to be stable at this point. It was about 9, 10 o'clock in the evening last night. Anyway, so we're going to play a couple of different decks tonight. This is going to be the one I probably spend the most time playing. This is basically an Omnath Locus of Creation ramp deck. This guy's kind of just been all over the place to start, in conjunction with things like Lotus Cobra and Uro, Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Just a kind of a ridiculous mana engine once it gets going. I've actually seen some really busted stuff with, turn 4 or 5 people having 15, 17, 18 lands in play. Whole slew of crap outside of that also. So it can get pretty degenerate. For those with the discerning eye, you'll notice we're not playing Lotus Cobra or Dryad of the Elysian Grove, because I personally don't think that having like the ability to go just balls to the wall like that and just explode is worth the amount of non-games that you have. You draw like all of that like nonsense and no payoffs, and you just kind of dawdle around, not really doing much of anything. This deck at least has that sort of element. Like we can do things like play Omnath, play a Fabled Passage, crack it for a blue source, and play either Feldor Retreat or Teferi. So we can double spell on turn 5 pretty easily. But we also have this Joel Rail game that we can play with Ops, Uros, Omnaths, all drawing extra cards, Teferi drawing extra cards to trigger her over and over. Also Fire Prophecy. I think people are sleeping on this card to a little bit of a degree, at least in their Joel Rail decks. 2 mana to kill Lotus Cobra, or really this thing kills a lot of stuff actually. But 2 mana to kill something, potentially shove a card or something better. Like if you're land light, you can shove, if you've got an extra Genesis Ultimatum or, redundant copies of Uro or something like that, you can shove those to hopefully find something better. Or, if your hand's great, then your hand's great and it's just a removal spell. But then you also, on top of all that, when you have Joel Rail in play, you get the 2/2 cat out of it as well. Hey Freeman, what's going on, man? So this card, I think, should be paired with Joel Rail more often than not if you were looking for a removal spell in your Joel Rail decks. There's options like Glass Casket, which I do have in the board here, but those don't have quite as much synergy. You can also play like Scorching Dragonfire, Stomp, off of Bone Crusher Giant, Shock, things of that nature, but none of those really synergize quite as well. I don't want to spend forever talking about this. I want to get into the games because they are going to be somewhat long. Bellagid Recovery is the only dual face card that we're playing in this deck. This is just a absolute bomb in the late game. Lets you get back your stuff like Genesis Ultimatums, spend Omnath or Teferis. I've even grown this back just for the bounce 2 creatures mode to get lethal damage through. You don't want to have a whole lot of these because there are aggressive decks in the format, and you don't have infinite time to spin your tires and do stuff like that. But it's been pretty good. Felidar Retreat is freaking busted. Not like broken, in need of a ban, but this card is so damn strong. And I think it's even better in decks that use Joel Rail as well, because you can go very wide very quickly and get a lot of mileage out of that +1/+1 counter in Vigilance mode. We're playing one Phylath just as like a big thing to have. Can really clog up the ground, and if you ever get to untap with it and start triggering the landfall ability, this could just be an army in a can into itself. So that's really the style of what we're going for here. Just a ramp deck, individually powerful cards, with some synergies built in as well. I was talking about this at work earlier today, but the mana has been probably the hardest thing to get going correctly. And it's not even necessarily because we're trying to Omnath on turn 4. We're trying to Omnath on turn 4, but we're also trying to cast Genesis Ultimatum in the deck, which kind of puts a unique strain on your mana requirements. Basically, Plains is the worst land in the deck because you can't use it to cast Genesis Ultimatum. But you kind of do need to have one available to grab off a Fable Passage if that's your 4th land and only white source for Omnath. You can see in the board, I haven't tried this yet, but this was like the last change I made at the end of the night last night. All the opposing Lotus Cobra decks, if they go really big and just have their huge, massive turn, often it's not that they just kill you on the spot, it's just that they have an untenable board position for you to put up with through any other means other than Shatter the Sky. So, and those are some of the more popular matchups that I've played so far. So I want to have something that can just nuke them. Double white's going to be kind of hard, but I believe, what did I count? 13 white sources, plains, pathways. These are both the white X pathways. That's 3, 4, 5, plus 8. Yeah, 13. It's not a lot. Definitely not a lot, but between Omnath potentially giving you white mana as well off of its ability, and Cultivate, and just drawing a shitload of cards, it hasn't really been a problem all that much. But yeah, we're gonna try that. Just to go over the sideboard real fast, Glass Casket and Fire Prophecy. These are mainly here just to shore up our aggressive matchups. But we're already pretty good, but sometimes their draws against your draws line up in such a way that you need to buy yourself some extra time. Because once you start throwing Uros and Omnaths around and get your Felidar retreats rolling, they can't really do anything, but you need to get to that point. In a similar vein, in the mirror or mirror-esque matches, I bring in Glass Caskets and Fire Prophecies to keep Lotus Cobra and Dryad of the Elysian Grove under control as much as possible. Those are really the key elements. Everything is hinged on those cards. So if you can deny them that, their deck becomes a clunky pile of shit. And the new plan is also going to incorporate Shatter the Sky to give us some safety valves in case we don't stop them early. But anyway, so that's this deck. Just have a Scavenging Ooze in here because there are a number of graveyard synergies that I'm not exactly sure how else to better fight. Plus, you can bring this in against beatdown decks and just have a creature that can potentially outscale what they've got going on and gain you a little bit of life as well. Finally, a pair of Wilt. I think having access to enchantment removal in particular is going to be really strong. Once people start picking up on this card, you're going to need to have answers to it. But there's other stuff in the format as well. So I think if your deck has access to this kind of effect, whether it be this card or Disenchant, whatever, I think you've got to play it in some numbers. Maybe not 2, maybe a single copy's fine, but yeah, so that's that. And real fast before we actually get into the games, I'm also going to be playing this deck. This is basically a Sea Gate Stormcaller deck, and I have played a little bit with this, not quite as much, but you get to do some truly absurd things with this card. It only lets you copy spells that cost 2 or less, but you can get around that to some degree with cards like Into the Royal, where you can actually kick this up into a 4-mana spell, but it's only 2 mana on the stack, so Sea Gate Stormcaller will double it or triple it if you are getting that deep into the game. But this deck has a lot of stuff that you can copy with it. Shock, Opt, Fire Prophecy, Into the Royal, Petty Theft, and Stomp off of your adventure creatures also get copied by it, so that's some extra value there. Playing Trips Baron, you can use this as a tempo card, I suppose, if you're in a position to be able to take advantage of it. Like if you have 2 Bone Crusher Giants down, or something like that, and you're just trying to get the damage in. But mainly, I expect this to be bouncing my own Sea Gate Stormcallers or adventure creatures or something like that to get extra mileage out of them. I even had a game yesterday where I bounced the Jace and kicked it again and ended up with 3 Jaces in play, so that was pretty cool. Only playing 1 Sea Gate Restoration. I don't think this card's particularly great, but it's kind of free, and, why not? The only other card to really mention here is Embercleave, and I don't know if this is correct. This is kind of like a holdover from the Is It Flash deck that I played last season, or the season prior to that even, where you've got like some kind of dinky dudes, and you want to be able to turn them into like actual legitimate threats. Like, yeah, 3/3 double strike trample isn't like that big of a deal, but you pair it up against all the removal and bounce and other shit like that, like you can actually like just really get people this kind of stuff. I don't anticipate that we're going to be getting a huge cost reduction on this very often, but getting to play it for 4 mana perhaps, or even just end step 6 mana, here's an Embercleave, untap, go, do my thing. Seems alright, but I could certainly be convinced to cut it. Sideboard, couple of Wraths here, and Storm's Wrath and Cinderclasm. I opted to make the split rather than just go full in on Cinderclasm, because there's going to be bigger creatures than X2s, and we're going to need to have the versatility. Plus, you can actually copy this with Sea Gate Stormcaller, so you can kind of assemble your own Storm's Wrath for an additional mana if you find yourself in that position. Lastly, just going over the remaining things here. Thundering Rebuke. This would be for something like the mono green lists, or creatures that are slightly bigger and you just want to upgrade things like Shock into Thundering Rebuke. Mystical Dispute and Negate just for control decks. I've seen some people playing them. They're not super prevalent, so these could be probably better utilized somewhere else, but that's primarily why they're there, as well as Concerted Defense, which is basically just a worse Spell Pierce until we get, like a Brazen Borrower or a Baron or Sea Gate Stormcaller, and then it's just actual Spell Pierce, potentially more. Anyway, so that's that deck. I've already talked for about 15 minutes, so I'm going to shut the hell up and let's get into some games. Okay. Before I forget, thanks to Duke is the King and Wacky Mondo for the follows a couple days ago. Appreciate the support, guys. That brings us up to 50 followers, which has been my goal for a little while, so really happy about that. Only thing I need to do now is get my consistent viewership up a little bit for the purpose of affiliate, and we will be good to go. Alright, so I'm going to lead on Ketria Triome here. I don't care about... He's probably going to take Uro. That's fine. This is most likely Rogues or something similar to that. Question here... No, there's no question. I'm just going to lead Fabled Passage. I was thinking about potentially playing Bellagid Recovery, but if we're going to cultivate next turn, then there's no need. Okay, so this is where we have to be a little bit careful. I'm going to get this Plains now, because I have a feeling they might try and spike this Cultivate. Like a Lofty Denial, or there's the other Pay 1, or it's a tapped island card. They've got something. I think they have a flash creature of some variety here. And I know I said this is the worst card in the deck, but you do still have to, you know, be able to cast your spells. This means that Genesis Ultimatum is going to be a turn, you know, 5 play, or a turn 8 play. Which is fine. Yeah, we'll take an Uro. Let's see what he wants to do here. Yeah. This could also be like the Shaheen Sarani Blue-Black control list that he posted earlier today. I don't think the Rogues deck is very often playing Neutralize, so I have a feeling that's probably the case. I'm actually going to pull up the list now so I can take a look at it. Hell yeah. See, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this Fabled Passage to crack after casting Felidar Retreat. Perfect. That deck only has, if that is this deck, it's only got 3 counter spells that can actually stop that. No need to crack it now. We'll wait. He might have like Extinction Event or something. Yeah, sure. That play makes me think he doesn't have one. Does he have any way to get this off the table? He's got Ashiok and Brazen Borrowers. Perfect. Now let's see what he has to say about attacking here. I don't think he'll have it, but he could potentially have Mystical Dispute. So I'm going to play around that as best as I can. Sick. Oh yeah, dude. A lot of people have the Fibblethip avatar. And yeah, it's kind of stupid, but oh well, whatever. I don't know if he actually... I think he has a Brazen Borrower. He's deciding what to bounce. It's the only thing that makes sense. So if he's got Ashiok, we kind of want to keep like 1 blank in our hand. Because if he like bounces Felidar Retreat or Teferi or something, Shark Typhoon, okay. Then I want to be able to do something about it. So, okay, so if we draw Ultimatum here, we got red, red, green, green, blue, blue. So I want to get rid of Trial here. Not draw that, but we did draw Phylath, which isn't too bad. I think what I'm going to do first is Uro. We can get an extra card, and then we can make our decision about whether we want to play another land right now or not. I'm actually going to keep a Fabled Passage in the deck, so if we draw, like if we want a Bellagid Recovery for it, it's certainly not a bad play when you have Fill or Retreat. Sure. If we do the counter, we get extra damage now. I think we might need to start growing stuff above Shark Typhoon range. Yeah, get out of here, cool thing. Wish I'd done that first, but oh well. Wow, he's playing Dismal Backwater, huh? Okay, so what could he do here? He could have Petty Theft, bounce Uro, make a 2/2. So the worst thing that could happen is he like spends a removal spell to kill Uro, spends a Petty Theft to bounce a token, blocks, and we don't get any damage in. I just want the cats. Okay. I think I'm just gonna jam Phylath here. It's whatever. If he counters it, he counters it. I guess I can ult a fairy here, why not? Inscription is really good. I think Inscription's probably better than Bellagid Recovery. Bounce both of the sharks. Like, we can do all the modes. Cool. So he'll be able to get one card. Sure. He might just be dead here. Yep. Okay, so we get to remove the crappy cards, which are those three. Glad I have these negates now. I honestly don't think we need to do all that much else. Take one card back. Trying to think. Alright, so let's look at his list here. I'm assuming that this is the list, so that's kind of what I'm going by. I guess we could take one Wilt, give us an out to Shark Typhoon. We can always just cycle it. I think that's better than just some random removal spell or a 2/2, a Grizzly Bear. But like the 1-for-1 removal thing is like god awful against our deck. This is almost always generated a body by the time that happens. Or if it doesn't, it's whatever. It's one less removal spell for our big guys. These always draw a card when they come into play, so he's already down on the exchange there. I can always grow back Uro. Felidar Retreat, you know, way good against single targeted removal spells. So, yeah, I'm not really concerned about that. Like, I expect some of my stuff's gonna die, but not worried about it. So the win conditions in his deck are a pair of Ashiok, a Murderous Rider, and the Brazen Borrowers. I guess he has Shark Typhoon. That's a pretty good one. He's got 3 Sea Gate Restoration. Fucking good luck with that, dude. Sideboard. What does he bring in? Probably he's got Necromentia potentially, so he might bring that in. People tend to bring in that kind of deck, that kind of card in matchups where they shouldn't. Honestly, this isn't great, but I'll take it. Only question is, do I play this Bellagid Recovery as a land? I kind of think I do. We didn't ever even get around to casting Bellagid Recovery last game. We just had enough stuff to do. I think I'm actually going to play this Fable Passage. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. I was thinking about how I was going to get my red mana. And I mean, we could do it through the pathway or the passage, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so he does not have Neutralize up. That's good. And I'm going to lead with Plains here. Like, a lot of the time I'll try and conceal the fact that I have access to a third color of mana in this situation. But if we, like, don't resolve this Uro, and then we rip an Omnath, I'm going to want to cast Omnath next turn. So now we at least get to get Ketria Triome into play. And now we can do, like, Felidar Retreat plus Fabled Passage. Get, like, really wild and crazy. Field of Ruin, okay. Okay. Can't deny me Uro. He might just take Felidar Retreat. Nope. Well, let's see, post board, he does not have any way that I'm aware of to counter this. Unless he's got, like, negates or something. Okay. Fair enough. Play this here so I can opt on his end step. Do you like to counter opt? No. Okay. Take a negate. He might be like tapping out for an Ashiok on the following turn or something. Kind of even don't want to play negate to defend this Felidar Retreat. Because we're not in a good position to be able to beat Ashiok, so I, like, kind of don't want that happen. And we still got Uro. So it's like, it's not paramount that this thing resolves. I would like it to, of course. Is he, like, gonna... Nope. do nothing, apparently. I kind of don't want to crack Fabled Passage here, because that takes the shields down. If he wants to, like, Brazen Borrower, and then have, like, a negate or something up. So I'm giving up a little bit of equity here, in terms of, like, not having an additional 2-2. But I don't want to get caught with my pants down, you know? That's ballsy. He's got a removal spell or a frantic inventory or something. Great. That's also a reason why we're going to be using the +1/+1 counter mode very sparingly. Alright, so we're going to do it here. It's fine, we got plenty of blue up. Get our second red source. Get a dose. Cast our opt. I think Joel Rail's not particularly good right here. Shubber. It's like a card I would want on turn 2 or 3 or something like that, but not much beyond that. So here... I think I just want to set up to have, like, a bigger turn next turn, if possible. You might just have to cycle a Shark Typhoon here. Wow, he didn't counter Felidar Retreat? What the hell's going on? Is that a misclick? Or is he just, like, trying to die? If he activates Castle Lochthwain here, I would not be surprised. Alright, well, we can't kill him. Unless we, like, hit a land off of this Uro. Oh, we have double counterspell up. Hell yeah. See ya, Uro. So the only way he doesn't lose here is with Shark Typhoon. And he'll just have nothing. He's got too much... He's got too much going on that I don't really want to spend a negate on this. Like, he's still dead next turn. So, whatever. Like, we might have been able to get him there, but if we don't, then... yeah. It's fine. You don't need to go for, like, the win immediately all of the time. I personally like to play it a little bit conservatively when I can. I'm, like, not under the gun to win right then and there. And that certainly was not a case where we were under the gun to win. Oh, we got bad Goblin Guide. Okay, so that went about as expected. I was going to read that article by Shaheen anyway, so I'm glad that I had a reason to pull it up. Shaheen's like super gung-ho on Sea Gate Restoration, and basically everyone else is telling him, no, dude. You're the expensive sorcery guy. We know why you like this card, because it's 7 mana and it just draws cards. It's like everything he wants in a card. But I think pretty much any of the others are better. This hand is not good unless we draw a green source, which we're not guaranteed to do. This I will keep. And I have a feeling I want to push Fabled Passage. We've got 29 mana sources in the deck, so we're like pretty good chance to actually draw one in the next 2 turns, especially off an opt if it absolutely comes to that. Felidar Retreat is like a card I really want to have in my hand once we get going. I guess I could push the Uro. Seems bad though. We'll just push Fabled Passage. We don't have like enough reason to keep that many lands. Alright, so this might be mirror or a mirror of some kind. Could also just be like a Jeskai control deck, or blue-white. I've seen them play Triumph as a blue-white duel that cycles. Nope, this is the mirror. Some sort of mirror, anyway. Yep. Alright, well, just have to hope that we can get off the table here, or off the ground, rather. Good thing I have a good sideboard plan for this. If I had to guess, I don't think we're winning this game. Oh, he has the Mimic, huh? The Uro. Not a real hard call, but yeah. I'm going to save this opt, just on the off chance that we do draw an untapped land next turn and control rail and opt in the same turn. That's a pretty good draw, too, actually. I think I'm just going to take the turn off and kill this Lotus Cobra. Are we just off any of these cards? I could see being off Omnath. It's like pretty low impact in this style of matchup, but I think we're good. I think we have enough going on here. And I want to double spell on Joel Rail opt next turn. This is the downside to having 11 lands in my deck that come into play tapped. Like sometimes you just draw like the awkward all tap lands hand. Okay, that's fine. So we'll play Joel Rail, play an opt, get a cat. Don't think we're gonna need Bellagid Recovery. It's the only card in our graveyard is Fire Prophecy, so we'll shove that. So we're definitely behind here, but maybe he's just on a bag of bricks, like all ramp stuff and no great payoffs. Okay. draw Fable Passage here. That would be ideal. Okay, so I think we just play an Uro here, or not an Uro, an Omnath. Be mana efficient. Next turn we can fill out our retreat with a land to grow Omnath outside of Bone Crusher Giant range. Alright, well, that is. Five lands. So he's got Bone Crusher Giant. That's kind of an unexpected one. Only because I hadn't seen people playing it yet. Alright, so he's like... He's got a lot of adventure creatures. No blocks. There's no reason to trade an Omnath for a Bone Crusher Giant when I already have... oh, like, I can gain life and mitigate the attack. So here... If I play Uro... Forest, Island, Felidar Retreat. I can't do it all at once, or all at the same time, though. Alright, let's start with Uro. We'll see where that gets us. So I could play the Triome here, and then, like an Island, get mana off Omnath, then play Felidar Retreat. We're gonna have to take our licks this turn. Probably throw the cat under the wheels of that Beanstalk Giant. Oh lord. Yeah. I'm not interested in playing that out. Okay, so he's got a lot of adventure creatures. The Gate might actually be pretty good against his deck. I'm gonna get off of Joel Rail. It's like a little too low impact in this matchup. I don't want Phylath, and I want to cut out Teferi. So I want negates. I think if I'm cutting... trying to decide if I want to switch Fire Prophecy for Glass Casket. Glass Casket can deal with Uro and Bone Crusher Giant and Lotus Cobra. But Fire Prophecy deals with all of that except for Uro. I'm down to give it a shot. I guess we'll keep one Fire Prophecy. Be down for something like that. We'll just turn into like kind of a weird control deck that has some like ramp elements to it. Like I was saying, this card is like kind of low impact in the matchup if you're not going like Buck Wild, which we're not. Felidar Retreat can be pretty slow. Teferi is really not quite as good if you're not using Joel Rail, so since we're bringing her out, I'm okay with cutting one, but I do still want to have access to a filtration effect. Negates for his Genesis ultimatums. He's probably got Ugins in the deck. All of his adventure shit you can negate if that's what he wants to do. And then we'll have some ways to deal with Lotus Cobra. You cut one of these for one more Fire Prophecy. I really just want to keep Lotus Cobra under control. That's my main concern, at least in the early game. I don't think Bellagid Recovery is going to come up all that much. Then we draw this hand. I guess this does set us up to go like back-to-back Felidar Retreat. Maybe we could just like go out of hand quickly. Lead with Temple here. I want to try and find something else to do. Preferably not a 4-drop. Come on, man. Whatever. Spell's a spell. I don't want to shove it and then draw another land. That would be even worse. At least this way we don't have to get planes with our Cultivate. We have white off of Routgrin Trio. Sweet, he does not have Lotus Cobra, and that's good news for us. Let's see, I just want green, red here, I guess. Doesn't matter. So next turn we can Omnath. That's fine. We can Omnath, play an island, gain 4, have Opt up. It's like, here's how I imagine the next couple of turns are gonna go. Like, he's gonna play an Omnath, and then we're gonna play Felidar Retreat and outscale his Omnath so that he can't block. Which is why I'm playing this over Felidar Retreat this turn. Tell me he's going to brick on land. Okay. Okay. Ooh. That's gas. Because now he can't even block Omnath. Go for... I guess we've got enough green sources in hand. Let's go for the third blue. Sweet. Kidding me? Well, this could be worse. We do have double Felidar Retreat to block. Just gonna copy Terrible Keys. Holy shit. Hey, you're right on time. Alright, so kinda sucks, but we have to play our own Omnath here as well. I guess I should probably play this because I'll have double white in case we do draw one of our Shadow the Sky. Austin, what's going on, man? Good to see you around. Not a whole lot that I can do there. That's just death. Oh, we got absolutely shit hammered. Oh well, happens. Just queue it back up. Terror of the Peaks. I saw some people talking about that. Like on Reddit. There's like a forum for this deck on Reddit. And I saw somebody asking why nobody was playing Terror of the Peaks in their list. Apparently somebody is. I wonder if it's that guy. All the tap lands. We can keep this, I guess, but it is exceedingly slow. We're on the draw, whatever. Yeah, Glasspool Mimic I think is actually a pretty good card. Usually your clones are not 3 mana. And there's usually some, like, condition built into it. Where it's like, oh, if this thing becomes like a target of a spell or ability, it's destroyed, or, you know, something like that. Okay, that's a good draw. I think we're probably going to have to play this Bellagid Recovery as a Bellagid Sanctuary. Lotus Cobra. Oh, God. Yeah, right. Well, I guess we have next turn wrapped up on Jewel Rail anyway. I think we just gotta get this thing out of here. Just cannot let him have Lotus Cobra. That's why I have Fire Prophecy in the deck, is to keep that kind of shit under control. Like, here comes a fetch land, watch. Or nothing, okay. I like that too. Alright, so here... I really don't want to grab a Plains with this Fabled Passage, so I think I'm just going to Uro. We'll get our white source off Temple of Triumph, make a 2/2, get a field, or a Fabled Passage into play, so we can, like, pressure our mana advantage. I actually think Forest is okay here. Because that'll let us get double triggers next turn on a Philidar Retreat if we want to. Sweet. Could also Omnath here. I kind of like doing Omnath. Yeah, I think I like doing Omnath here a little bit better, because then we can fill at our retreat. Actually, could we do both? Yeah, we can do both. Omnath. Blue here. They fell at our retreat. It's a little out of order, unfortunately, but oh well. I mean, you can't be mad at people for using good cards. It is what it is. Alright, so here's what we're going to do. I think... Can't do it all, but we're going to do a lot. So I'm going to play Feldar Retreat. Then I'm going to play Mountain Cultivate. And we're going to get some big dudes. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Because, yeah, now I can attack my cats into the Omnath and trade, so... okay, so this is looking more like the deck that I was anticipating in terms of a mirror match, so I'm going to go with the plan that I had kind of hashed out earlier. We're moving off the Joel Rail plan. Don't need Phylath. Phylath is basically just an anti-aggro card. Bring that out. I think I was cutting one Omnath, one Cultivate as well. Then I just bring in all of this stuff. I gotta find one card to cut. I guess we can cut another. How about it to fair? Could be right to cut a Bellagid Recovery. Because, like, when you hit Ultimatum, you do want to get, like, as much value as you possibly can. And my three best permanents to hit are Beldar Retreat, Teferi, Omnath, and, like, lands. Like, Uro's fine, because it gives us an Uro. But, otherwise our Genesis Ultimatums are a little anemic if the best we can do is, like, Omnath and some lands, or Felidar and some lands. I'd want to kind of keep these numbers up as much as I can. And Cultivate, like, the mirror match doesn't come down to, like, ramping nearly as much, at least from my side, because I've got to keep control over the enabler creatures. So we can win, like, incidentally at some point with, you know, Retreat, Omnath, Uro. Like, we don't need to match him on explosiveness. Yeah, this is, like, basically everything that we need. Okay. So this should hopefully be our only tap land this game. At least, you know, within the first 20 minutes or whatever. Okay, that's good. Oh, he doesn't have greed. That is interesting. Hopefully he's like gonna crack for a green here. Hopefully he plays like Lotus Cobra or something, and then I can Fire Prophecy, untap Omnath. Be off to the races. Yeah, Glass Casket's a pretty nice little card. There's Lotus Cobra. Does he have a land? before anything happens here, I'm actually going to push a Fire Prophecy here, because I already have a Glass Casket, and he might play something like a Dryad of the Elysian Grove, which I would rather have the Glass Casket for. Could just be Uro, but I guess it'll just be nothing. Blue here, gets Omnath. I feel like a Mystical Dispute or an Essence Scatter or something. Wow, okay. Bellagid Retreat of his own. Let's see. Okay. It's okay, dude. We got plans. You're going to Fable Passage and Cultivate next turn. Actually, we might just Felidar Retreat, Fable Passage. Oh god, Escape to the Wilds. Fuck. And he's going to be able to cast that Genesis Ultimatum next turn, too. Alright, so let's see. If we play Felidar Retreat, Fable Passage, we can get 3 3/3s, which will match what he's got. And then that will allow us to cultivate Cycle Triome next turn. I think I'm okay with that. Like, we're probably losing this game because of the fucking escape into Genesis Ultimatum. But, you know, what are you gonna do? Fortunately, if that's all he does, then he doesn't get this Uro. Nothing else in doing. Yeah. We can actually make our guys 4/4s. Nice. We don't even need to. I guess he can play Ultimatum and probably like go fucking crazy here. So, very unlikely that we're actually going to be able to size his stuff accordingly, but you never know. Maybe he hits a bunch of Lotus Cobras and Elysian Caryatids and crap like that. Wow, what? Okay. Is he worried about a counterspell? I guess he has Mystical Dispute himself, so maybe he thought I'd have it. Yeah, bring it on, dude. Let's go. Oh, yes. Let's see, I think we need... Lock. I'll take 3 to the face, that's fine. Okay, so here, like I said, we are going to cultivate. One set of triggers we'll use to grow all of our stuff. The other, I'm going to get these cats first. We'll play this. Grow everything. Or crash for 18. And I'm going to wait to cycle this triome. I knew it wasn't going to take long for people to catch on to Felidar Guardian. Or Felidar Retreat, rather. Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, it has a tendency to do that. Sometimes. So here's the question. Okay, so he is going to go ahead and knock out all the Felidar Guardians. And just as quickly it shifts the other way. 5, 6, 7, 8. I guess that's fine. Now our glass caskets look fucking stupid, but oh well. None of those are gonna do it. Actually, I think I'll keep the ferry. I'm gonna start cycling away some of this garbage. I just think we're probably just dead here. Alright, well now that I know that he has Escape to the Wilds, and Ugin, and I knew he had Genesis Ultimatum, that's like kind of a given. Alright. I'm gonna take out some of this Wrath of God type shit. Bring these negates in. Whoops, not the other Teferi. Like 2 Shatters and Fire Prophecy, something like that. Is there anything... I guess I could bring in Wilt. Just have an out to his own Felidar retreats. Yeah, I'm okay with that. He might also just have like Shark Typhoon or just, you know, some other random shit in his deck, so. Wilt can always cycle, so it's not like it's completely dead. I think I do want some Shatters, because, you know, if we hadn't had our own Felidar retreat, we were going to need to draw one of those pretty quickly. Alright, well, we'll try this out, see what happens. I could, in theory, have one-sided back into the Joel Rail part of this deck, but this hand is so slow. Everything is so slow. I don't think we can shove it, though. Kind of have to keep it. Alright, well, at least this shit's slow, too. Trying to spike an Ur. I can totally see that. I used to do that a lot in the previous format, spike it with Mystical Dispute. I hate this because I do kind of want to Uro and get value off of the land drop. Let's see what he has to say about Uro. He's very suspiciously inactive over there, so I have a feeling this is getting countered. No. At least we can Felidar plus Fabled Passage next turn. Turn after, or whatever. So, like, we can Felidar Retreat. If it doesn't resolve, we can play Plains. If it does resolve, we play Fabled Passage. Start going to town. Great, so this is going to resolve. Two. Not be mystically disputing that. On another land. You need some business at some point. Alright, well that could have been way worse. He's gonna get land Uro Omnath off of that. He's actually going to get 2 lands eventually, but it could be worse. Just gotta try and get him dead before any of that matters. We can actually put lethal on him next turn. Well, he's actually going to gain 4 life here, so never mind. He's going to gain 4 plus the 3 off of Uro, so it's not going to be quite lethal, but we can make it so he has to block. He has to chump block with his Omnath. So our tokens are going to be 6/6s. I hope he has Felidar Retreat here. There's nothing. He doesn't have one because he probably would be cracking Fabled Passage if he did. Yeah, I'll take 4. That's fine. Okay. See, we shoved a land at the bottom last turn, didn't we? What I'm wondering is if I should make bodies instead. Alright, so we can... 6, 7. See, we can do this. We can... I want to cycle this Triome. I don't really want to play it. So we play this. And then we put cats into play. Actually, I think I kind of messed this up. Yeah, I kind of fucked that up. Oh well. I don't need full. So hopefully he tries to go for his own Felidar treat. I'd like to be able to catch this built-in for something. Oh god. Okay, well double Uro isn't that exciting actually. And you only got one land off of it too, which is pretty good. Guess he probably has all of his islands out. I was gonna say, why didn't he grab any more islands? He's got enough green. My fucking god. His minus is 0, and that's just fucking it. Alright. Okay, I think I'm going to switch gears here into the blue-red deck. What the hell's... I just want to, you know, cover some other ground. We've been playing Omnath for a little over an hour, so... just as a refresher, this is what we're going to switch it up to. Actually, I'm going to take a quick break. Yeah, no, it is. It's just haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. And the guy that gets to go double Genesis Ultimatum in one turn, yeah, they're gonna win that. So I'm gonna take a quick break. I'm actually just going to kill my camera, so I can leave the list up here in case anybody's looking for it. So yeah, I will be right back, guys. Okay, guys. So, the one card you might be looking at here in the mana base that you're like, wait, what? Is Field of Ruin. I don't know how good this card is going to be right now. It doesn't seem like it's super fantastic, but it sort of feels free, and it does offer some amount of mana fixing. Um, so I don't know. I've seen worse options for the mana base, but otherwise we're just playing straight blue and white, or blue and red rather. We're playing just a pair of triomes. I want to have a couple of lands that I can cycle if necessary, but also be blue-red dual lands if it comes to that. Plus, who knows? You know, might be able to lead on a Ketria Triome and throw them off and think we're playing some sort of Omnath deck. But we'll see. See how this goes. What we've played tonight. I don't think I need to make changes. So what's my plan against the Omnath decks other than just like being a counterspell deck post board? Got the shocks and fire prophecies to keep their creatures under control. Like getting to Stormcaller shock on turn 3 can kill Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Similarly, Stormcaller plus fire prophecy on turn 4. Stormcaller plus giant on turn 4. Snake dies to everything. We can also just Into the Royal it, Baron it, Brazen Borrower it. We can keep that off the table. We don't have a lot of counter spells in game 1, but I think our clock is significantly better than the Omnath deck, while being able to like represent a lot of stuff. So we'll see how this goes. I think on a pure power basis, this deck is certainly much weaker than Omnath, but who knows? Okay. I'm excited. This Sea Gate Stormcaller, or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, Stormcaller. Card is really freaking sweet. Keep it. That's gonna die immediately. Or pretty close to immediately. I think I would like to Bone Crusher Giant that, and then try to follow up with Sea Gate Stormcaller Shock on the following turn, or following turns to come. We get a little bit more value out of that, and right now we're a little kinched on mana, so we are somewhat banking on drawing a land in between now and then. Okay. That's alright. Them making that play means that they just like don't have anything else going on at 2 mana, which is good. Like they didn't have a Clover or something like that. And now they have it. Alright, so if I could draw a land here, that would be ideal. And of course we didn't. Cycle this Neutralize, or do we bounce Clover? He's probably going to play Lovestruck Beast next turn. So I kind of want to get both of those 1/1s off the table prior to that happening. plays like a beanstalk giant or something, that's gonna like just start to put this game away. Like we just gotta get this Clover out of here. We're not under significant pressure quite yet. Okay with that. Just bought some time. That's all we were looking for. Of course, continue to not draw lands. Of course. Double red does not cast a lot of cards in their deck. You have like... Of course, it couldn't be like an untapped land of any variety. It had to be a goddamn Fabled Passage. Whatever. So here... Oh, I can't... I was gonna say, I was thinking of Ether Gust, like, oh, I can put this on top of the library, and then they'll shuffle it away, but no, that's not how Brazen Borrower's bounce works. Like, look at this bullshit, we're 5 lands behind, 4 lands behind. We'll get another red. We kind of need a double red here. We've got a lot of red spells in our hand. Bone Crusher Giants and shit, so... Speaking of which, I kind of just want to play my own Bone Crusher here. So if I try to kill Fae of Wishes with like Sea Gate Stormtamer Shock, he's just gonna most likely bounce it to his hand, and then he'll potentially have a way to like get Uro into play. This dies to double Bone Crusher Giant, but I'd rather that die than I take 4 points to the face, I guess. Maybe I could just go the whole game without playing a card in my hand, and like he won't know what the hell's going on. The disrespect. He doesn't even care. Land, untapped land, please. Watch, it's gonna be like a temple now. How did I know? Of course. God. Alright, I think we just have to shock this 1/1 token when he goes to combat. I'll trade Bone Crusher for Bone Crusher, that's fine. I think actually what I'm going to do here is bounce my own Bone Crusher with Into the Royal, so that the Brazen Borrower goes away. Actually, no, that's going to happen anyway, because he's going to have to target my Bone Crusher with the copy. So see how this works. Copy resolves first. Bone Crusher Giant goes to hand. He takes another 2 damage, and Brazen Barber goes away. Cool, so we can shock this thing. And then just hope that he doesn't have another way to make 1/1s. We're gonna have to take 2 here. I want to get the into the Royal out of here. To get Escape to the Wilds and oh yeah, Turn to Nature. That's an odd grab. Is he not gonna fling like right away? Just fling, dude. All right. Okay, so what do we not want? Probably Baron. We don't want to give him good stomp targets and bounce all of his venture shit back to his hand, so that's going to get right the fuck out of here. I think Negate's a fine pickup against them. They always try to adventure when they can, and being able to negate that is pretty good. For similar reasons, I don't really want Into the Royal. You could theoretically get them with Concerted Defense. Is that better than Mystical Dispute or worse? This counters Brazen Borrower for 1 mana and not a lot else. Fae of Wishes, I guess. Let's see, so we have Warriors, Rogues, or I'm sorry, Rogues and Wizards. Rogue here, Wizard there. I don't know that that's good enough though. I think we'll just take a pair of Disputes, call it a day. Yeah, I think that's fine. It'd feel really good if we got to convert Concerted Effort on something, but I don't see that being the case. So this is okay. This is gonna be, again, another fucking slow hand, but maybe we can find an untapped land with this Temple with Epiphany. If we can do that, then we can Sea Gate Stormcaller plus Opt on turn 3 and start drawing some cards, provided we find a untapped blue source between now and then. Yeah, there we go. This is good, so we can play Riverglide Pathway, Stomp whatever the hell he plays, if he plays anything at all. I guess this would be a good turn for Concerted Effort, for like Lucky Clover. Alright, you can go away. Do I want another Opt? Probably not. I don't want to land. So this is just going to be the Flood game. That's what it's going to be. Please have a tap land. I don't want to have Lovestruck Beast block my Sea Gate Stormcaller. Oh, okay. Let's see, so we shoved Opt and a Fabled Passage, so I'm not like in a big fucking hurry to crack this fabled passage. I think we just play this mountain and hang on to these neutralizes. I have a feeling it's not going to matter, but who knows. I'm going to copy the main one. Or, not copy, counter. Because I don't want him to have that as an adventure, like, option. So he's going to get to play Lovestruck Beast here. Or no, he's not. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you counter a card. It doesn't resolve. Does he have Stomp? I kind of think I want to do the same thing here. We'll see where he targets with this. He's going to go face. I think I'm actually just going to Fire Prophecy this. I don't think Fire Prophecy's killing much. And this gets rid of the Bone Crusher Giant to begin with. I can shove this Fabled Passage. Resolve them all. Kind of want to counter this, I'm not gonna lie. He just plays like Naked Lovestruck Beast here. Yeah. Excellent. Good call. Oh, he's not even gonna play it. He's gonna play it now. Should I just play Brazen Borrower now so I can get a clock going? I should. Nice. Oh shit, why did I go into the Bone Crusher? Huh. I knew he wasn't gonna block. Whoops. Hell yeah. Alright, well I'm not giving him the ability to get me again. Alright, I'm feeling a little bit better now. Now we can play Brazen Borrower and back it up with a counterspell. Let's see, so he's gonna do the double wish thing. Yeah. That's fine. Or the triple wish thing, I suppose. I don't know that he's gonna have time unless he gets like a removal spell. But he's only got one red. He might have one of the dual face cards. I guess he could just have a land in his board, I suppose, if he really wanted to grab one. This quadruple green, I think, is probably hurting him. Wouldn't be surprised if he had, like, Brazen Borrower in his hand or something. Got a negate. Okay. He's not gonna have time to use that, most likely. He's like setting up for the turn after. So I'm sandbagging this Brazen Borrower. Fabled Passage, okay. So there's his land. And Mythos of Vedric. Okay. Okay. Wow, he did not get a blue. This guy joking. counter spells seemed really good there. Let's get this Embercleave out of here. He can easily deal with that. I don't know why he left that in. Part of me wants concerted defense. Part of me doesn't. It's possible that we just want to be like mono instant speed as much as possible, and that Jace and Royal Scions are not very good here. It's not. I'm willing to believe that. We'll give variable Spell Pierce here a chance. We don't have a lot of things to turn it on, but even, like I was saying in that game, if you went for like Lucky Clover on turn 2, we could just spike it. We just literally force spike it. If he like goes for Beanstalk Giant on turn 3, or, you know, whatever. I think even Force Spike is not completely unreasonable in this matchup. I've seen worse. The gate's really good if he doesn't have Lovestruck Beast. If I can at least dodge Lovestruck Beast, he's on the mulligan. If I can dodge Lovestruck Beast on turn 1 and set up for negate, then I don't care. Because then if he plays Heart's Desire, I can counter it and Lovestruck Beast is gone. And he's on the mold of 5. This deck does mulligan much better than a lot of other decks. Alright, so that makes me not want to cast this Opt. Okay. I can live with Edgewall Innkeeper, I think. But we are going to be sitting back on negate for a while. I'm not going to get to Opt until I have, like, 5 mana up if I want to make that play. Yeah, we've got other stuff that we can use Stormcaller with. Like that on him. Okay. Cool, so we've got 5 lands in the bank now, so now we just sit back on negate for a while until we get to Stormcaller and Opt. And he's on so few cards that might be able to get away with this. He's just hard casting it, huh? Alright. That makes sense, I guess. Alright. So I kind of think I want to take the shields down for 1 turn. Now that he has a Bone Crusher Giant in play, I need to find some way to get rid of that. That's not bad. I'll take that. We can kill Edgewall Innkeeper and then play Bone Crusher. That is not good. I will not take that. Okay. Okay. Clover without anything to do is not the end of the world. Okay. Okay, that's really good too, actually. Alright, so I think what I want to do is just shock Edgewall Innkeeper, play Bone Crusher Giant straight up. That way we can battle with his. Just hope he doesn't have a way to stop that. Okay. Land Escape to the Wilds, maybe? Two for 1. 2 for 2 as well. Alright, yeah, go away. I'm the one with counter spells in the deck. And I think what I want to do, he's like almost surely going to cast Escape to the Wilds next turn. So let's just get a Bone Crusher Giant down. Start pounding him. And if he doesn't go for Escape to the Wilds here, then what the hell he's doing. Okay. Mystical Dispute. I do not think we need that right. I think. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Just trying to think, like, he can't play, like, Beanstalk Giant or something, like, straight to the table. I guess he's only one land away from being able to do that, but whatever. We can rumble with a Bay of Witches for quite a while. Not too concerned about that. Come on. You know you want to cast it. I'm still going to counter that one because that's the creature version. He's going to go find like a negate here to protect Escape the Wilds, probably on a, like, not next turn, but on some future turn. Yep. Makes sense. Okay, well, we'll just continue to draw negates. I'm going to keep it because it's something to do. So here's land, Escape the Wilds, negate. Or not. Why did he grab a negate if he wasn't going to wait around until he had time to protect it? He just got impatient. Interesting. I guess might as well just shoot him in the head, right? He can't negate this right now. Fuck it. We might need the damage. Oh, he has it now. Oh, gotta make him use it. Should have kept that Mystical Dispute, I guess. Just gonna play Lucky Clover here. Next turn to play Heart's Desire, Uro, Lovestruck Beast. Got a shitload of cards in his bin. Drew the one Castle Vantress, which is the only land that I want to draw for the rest of the game. Yep. Well, once that Uro comes down, I don't think we have any chance of winning this game. I think it's pretty slim right now. So what happens here? Attacks with everything, we take for damage, we're just like dead. Doesn't matter, so yeah, counterspell isn't gonna help us. I'm trying to think, what could we possibly draw? I think there's like anything in the deck. We don't have Storm's Wrath. Yeah, alright. That ain't gonna do it. Wow, we mulliganed to 5 that game and we like couldn't fucking close. That's not a good sign. Blue-red based decks have always had a hard time dealing with large permanents, like large creature permanents, so that's not like completely surprising to me. That deck does have a fair amount of them, but we didn't see any Brazen Borrowers that game, which would have been nice. To get our clock going amidst all those counter spells. We just had like Bone Crusher Giants that had to trade off with Bone Crusher Giants. But let's keep going here, see what happens. Actually, you know what? I was thinking about one thing the whole time. And that was maybe that I wanted to add one more land. We're on 25 right now, plus the Sea Gate Restoration. I want like 26. That first game felt like so fucking bad. But then we were fine on lands for the next few games. Maybe it's alright. We don't need to make drastic changes that quickly. See what happens here. It's a two-lander. I don't love it, but I'll try it. He's got the Ugin avatar and the Ugin sleeves. And the Spirit Wolf. Watch, he's gonna have like mono red or something. Perhaps not. Island's a good draw there. Oh, I'm ready for you, buddy. Go away, Edgewall Innkeeper. Bone Crusher Giant. I think I just want to play it here. Have his own, I suppose. Whatever. This artwork is pretty sweet, I will give it that. Ember Cleave. Well, too bad we don't have a second red source for that. Alright, so I'm just gonna shock Edgewall Innkeeper. Well, let's get in with Bone Crusher. See if he's, like, inclined to block. Surprisingly, it's not. Yep. What I'm gonna do is just bounce a token with Brazen Borrower. That'll shut off his Lovestruck Beast for a little while. And I'm just going to play it end step here. Don't have any counter spells I can draw after opting that'll counter that, so whatever. Forest, Heart's Desire. Bounce the token again, but I don't think that's worth it. I'll just take 5 on the jaw. Or not. Check that out. That's another red source. Watch what's gonna happen. didn't expect Ember Cleave, did you? Bam. Ember Cleave, what the fuck? Yeah, baby, Ember Cleave. Okay. So you can Brazen Borrower if he really wants to. I somewhat anticipate that happening mid-combat. He might bounce, like, Ember Cleave. If he goes to do that, I think what I want to do is respond into the Royal. Is he just taking it? If he's just taking it, then he's dead. Bye. That was a very strange game. I think if I were on the other side of the table of that, I would be pretty pissed. I'm not lying. Or I'm not gonna lie. Alright, well, as funny as that was, Ember Cleave can get out of here. I don't want the sorcery speed. Dorks, I don't want to give them stomp targets. All the counter spells. Son of a bitch, stay out of the deck. What did we do last time? Side out into the Royal? I think that's what we did. Yeah, because it like bounces all their adventure stuff. It's not very good. That's right. Okay, this seems fine. We're playing like all of our instant speed interaction for the most important cards in his deck. And we still have a lot of removal for the creatures. Seems good. We've got flash threats, good value threats, and this guy, you know, we haven't really been able to convert on this all that much, but we just haven't had it that often. We have gotten to do the Sea Gate Stormcaller opt play a few times, which was sweet. But I want to do Sea Gate Stormcaller like Fire Prophecy and just like nuke his board. Something like that. The Sea Gate Restoration isn't ever resolving, but the rest of our hand's pretty good. As much as I wouldn't mind having another red source, I think we gotta shove. One red source can keep us in the game for quite a while. Especially if he doesn't have like a thing that he can get a card off Edgewall and Keeper here. I was gonna say, like, even Clover wouldn't be that bad. He's on the mole. I'd rather he doesn't draw extra cards. So I'm okay with him having Clover in, like, a weird way. I do want to get this out of here. Because, like, now if he went to go play, like, Mountain Bone Crusher Giant or something like that, yeah, that's fine. I would be less cool with that. So what happens? I think I do want to leave. I want to leave our little force spike up in case we need to. Because then we can like Bone Crusher with force spike next turn. Oh, he doesn't have anything, huh? Shoving any land. keep Brazen Borrower. Do I just bounce a Lucky Clover? If I bounce Lucky Clover, he missed a land drop, by the way. So if I bounce Lucky Clover, next turn and play Island, then I can Brazen Borrower plus Concerted Defense to counter it on the way back down if he doesn't have another land by then. Yeah. He's not doing anything else in this matchup, and he's so pinched on mana that this will actually, like, disrupt him quite a bit. Okay. I'd rather you do that now than kill our Brazen Borrower with it, to be honest. And we drew Fire Prophecy? Hell yeah. We could also just play... Well, if we played Bonecrusher Giant, then we can't counter the Lucky Clover on the way back down. So let's just react to what he does. If he plays Bonecrusher, then we can just Fire Prophecy. But if he does this, we get to do the thing. That Time Walks him. I want to Field of Ruin him. Kinda. The other line of play was just play Bonecrusher Giant and hold up Negate and Fire Prophecy, so I think that's more likely what I would have done. That just presents a better clock. Okay, cool. So we're exactly 50% so far. Ominous junky Coria thing. Keep rolling right along here. I think we lead with one of these Fabled Passages. Yeah, we definitely do, because then we can go 2, 3, 4 all the way up the curve. Or 2, 3, 3, however you want to interpret that, I guess. Alright, so this is either Rogues or the Shaheen control list. We're an island here. Let's see what our opponent has up their sleeve. Nothing, as I would expect. Fire Prophecy. I have a feeling Shock and Fire Prophecy are not going to be at their best here. Oh, you're out for work. Nice. Okay, so this is Rogues. Unsurprising. There's Sea Gate Restoration. I think what I want to do is, I want to Bonecrusher Giant this rather than Shock it. Okay. He's gonna mill himself. This was the card I was concerned about if I tried to Shock it. So that's why I Bonecrusher Gianted there. Damn, that's like hella late to be getting off work, dude. Alright, so all we need to do is cut him off of his bullshit. So we're going to Fire Prophecy this fucking donk. I don't think I need to do anything like that. shock this while he doesn't have blue mana. I'd much rather get Bone Crusher Giant counter than like Royal Scions or something, so let's see what he has to say about this. Alright, well. He's going to counter it whether we had the Riverglide pathway in play or not. That card's okay, but it's not that great. Let's try for a Royal Scions and see what happens. Nice. Okay. I'm gonna get rid of this temple, I guess. We got enough lands for the time being. We can also always just bounce it if we need to. Deck probably plays Brazen Borrower itself. It's like the best rogue in the format. Just gonna attack me, huh? Sure. Okay. Shock's not doing too much here. Could potentially kill something. It's not killing a Thieves Guild Enforcer at this point because it'll be a 3/3. Either ditch that or Ember Cleave. Probably Ember Cleave would be my guess. Why does it keep looking at my Royal Scions? Should probably activate Castle Lochthwain here. Smart. I would like to neutralize that Ivy League. Nice. Okay. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bounce Soaring Thought Thief during his upkeep so that it can't attack this turn. And you won't be able to interact with it either. This will cut down on the amount of damage that Royal Scions takes this turn. What are we doing here? We're going to play Brazen Borrower to block Soaring Thought Thief, and then shock Zulaport Duelist. I guess I'll keep the Raugrin Triumph because I might want to cycle that. I think what I'm going to try and do this game, if I can, is get this Royal Scions to ultimate. LOL. Poetic Justice. Okay, well, guess that's the thing. he wants to spend all of his time just dicking around trying to kill this thing. Going to attack me. Yes, get those islands off the top of my library, please. So he's going to play that EOT. So I think what I'm going to do is Baron and Bone Crush. We can toss a Baron if we need to. Unless this is a land. If this is a land, it's out. Okay, that's pretty good. So I'm going to, let's see, 1, 2, 3, and then I can Bone Crush the Brazen Bar. Or I could get the Bone Crusher to resolve. Yeah, so we'll kill Soaring Thought Thief, get Bone Crusher / Stomp to resolve. Then we can shock the Brazen Bar at some point. I would have preferred if that had tapped a little differently. Auto Tapper. Resolves. So now I'm just going to kill the Brazen Borrower and go face. Or do I want to? No, I think I have to. I've got to kill this thing, because if I don't get the option to do it. Royal Scions can take 1 attack. It'd be fine. Attack me, huh? Okay. You gonna kill Stormcaller? Stormcaller. I think I'm just gonna pump and jam here. Shuck and jive, pump and jam. Let's see what kind of response this prompts. He's got something. Okay. Wow. Okay, well, this is gonna be fucking sweet. Fine. Don't let the Auto Tapper do anything here. Bing. Boo, boo. Shit was sweet. You got outvalued, son. Alright, so let's see. Embercleave, you're out. I think Jace is out of here. Baron's probably out of here. We didn't have a lot of time to screw around with that kind of stuff. What do we want? We probably want... Asserted Defense and Mystical Dispute. Don't want to cut any removal. You just want to take out the stuff that's like kind of like Jace and Baron. Embercleave, like almost never going to connect. So this gives us disputes and Asserted Defense to fight over like Drown in the Lock and other counter spells that he's got. The dispute can also counter like the 2, 3, whatever guy that we had to kill that game. Can counter that pretty easily. Can counter like Brazen Borrower, things of that nature. So that seems really good here. And I just don't think we need any of this other stuff. Like this is primarily for like smaller aggressive creature decks like mono white and mono red, things of that nature. Yeah, this seems alright. Fable Passage is sort of awkward here, but take it. I kind of do want another land. I'll hang on to that. I'll take an opt as well. Just want to keep him off of basically anything. Ooh, he's gonna brick. Nice. Alright, cool. If we can ever convert this neutralize, like right here, hell yeah. That's gonna be one of the worst cards in our deck. If he ever gets mana, so we want to use it now while we can. Plus, that allows us to just, like, start tapping out, you know? So here, I want to play Bonecrusher Giant before we crack this Fabled Passage. So if he like, can't drown in the lock or anything like that. I just want to get this into play. So you can eliminate. That will resolve. I do think it's weird that this deck is playing Dismal Backwater. Do they just need like a blue-back duel that bad? Not want. We want that either. Guess we'll play though. We do kind of want like 5 or 6 lands at some point. Guess we could have tried Bonecrusher there, but 5 cards in hand. We'll see what happens here. We kind of need to get something going here, or else he's just going to sit back on all this stuff. We'll cash it in now. Seems like a reasonable spot. I will totally let that happen. That was sick. That was like a free 2 damage. And we got one of the better cards in his deck out from his hand. Great, excellent. Keep drawing lands, please. That's all I ever want. Really glad I didn't add that land to the deck. Just that one game was pretty bad. I guess I could have held that, honestly, to push with this Fire Prophecy, but I'm gonna actually Bone Crusher Giant this thing. So it's not a big deal. We'll hold any other lands, though. I don't know what he's, like, trying to accomplish there. I'm gonna feel to ruin him, though. I'm either gonna cut him off of a blue source or cut him off of a black source, and either one seems fine. Okay. Double black seems like better than having single black and triple blue. Actually, I'm gonna play Bone Crusher here. Let's see. I don't think I want to spend anything on a f***ing one. Fortunately, you cannot petty theft your own stuff. Mind Carver. So he's gonna put it on his dude. I guess I could bounce the Mind Carver. Care about taking it. Okay. We're just gonna tempo him out. Play Brazen Borrower here. If he plays Mind Carver again, we'll just frickin' kill his duelist. Or it's what? It's 3 mana. That's fine. You got it, man. Hopefully these Brazen Borrowers will be enough to get us there. Wonder if I should have just played this one while he was tapped out. I think I can incentivize him enough to like, try and play something where I can tempo him out a little bit better than that, though. Like, this thing is probably not ever getting equipped to anything at this point. It's 3 mana and he's got 5. It's gonna take so much of his turn to do anything. And if he just gets Brazen Borrower, then he's just destroyed. Don't think that's going to be good enough here. I think we got to shove. Because all this stuff costs like 2, maybe 3 mana. Yeah. Like, the best thing we can do is if he plays a thing, then we go to Brazen Borrower to bounce it, and then he goes to, like, negate back or drown in the lock or something back. Like, maybe that's good enough. We don't really need to buy that much more time. Yeah, I'm willing to give it a shot. Really, doesn't have anything going on. Alright, well, he's got that going on. That is a thing. But it's not going to be a thing for right now. I'm just going to get all this shit into play, though, now that that's the case. Alright, so we've got Concerted Defense. What does he have? Grab a Bone Crusher Giant, and that's it. That's like the most impactful thing. Alright, well, I guess I'll take that. Interesting. Okay. That was a fun match. There's a lot going on there. Cool. Alright, so I am going to, again, take a very brief break. Restroom. And I think what I want to do for the last 45 minutes or so, this is basically a blue-black variant of the same deck that we were just playing. A little bit heavier, it's not quite as lean, but you do have one casting cost cards in Opt and Bloodchief's Thirst. I think this card's actually relatively decent. And this is another one of those things where you get to kind of cheat on the ability here. If you kick this, it's still a one-cost spell on the stack. We could potentially like double murder something, or two things. But also getting to Stormcaller, like Agonizing Remorse or Duress out of the board seems pretty strong. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward. We've got our own Drown in the Locks. Not a whole lot because we're not doing any of the mill shenanigans, but over the course of the game, this will end up being one of the better cards in our deck. Pair of Jaces here. A couple bigger removal spells here in the middle of the pack. I don't really like this card all that much, but playing one of is fine. Like, you know, you kind of remove one of your swamps from the deck list and replace it with this, and sometimes you draw expensive murder, and it's better than drawing a swamp on like turn 10 or something, you know. Again, one Sea Gate Restoration. We're also playing an Ugin. Just it's a good control card because it gives you outs to almost everything. Ashiok is a way to play a really punishing card against somebody who's behind the gun a little bit. You can really tighten the thumb screws with this card. Sideboard, just a few more counter spells. Feed the Swarm and Farika's Libation are my like anti-enchantment stuff. Most of the time, people are only going to have one enchantment in play, whether that be Felidar Retreat or Elspeth Conquers Death. You know, if people are getting crazy with Song of Creation or something like that, this is like one of the first times in the history of the game that Black has had a couple of different ways to attack enchantments, so I'm not going to ignore that. It's a good aspect of the deck to be able to interact on if that ever comes up. Plus, if we just need an extra removal spell, there you go. Freaka's Libation being the other one. This is like an out to Dream Trawler if we run across that, or like the Plated Crag Beast or whatever that the new Gaia's Revenge type card we can kill with this thing. Pestilent Haze is the Infest in Standard at the moment. Could potentially kill a Planeswalker with it. I just wasn't sure how much aggro we're going to play against. It doesn't look like a lot, to be honest. So that might be right to cut this card down a little bit. And finally, one Lockmere Serpent, just to have something for any potential mirror match that doesn't involve Elspeth Conquers Death. Anyway, I'll leave the list up here. Just shut the camera off for a second, so I'll be right back, guys. Alright guys, finally back. Sorry about that. It being slightly longer than I anticipated. Okay, so, let us get into the queue. Anything else I want to mention about this list? These fields are ruined. I don't know. I was not impressed last round. I just don't think there's that much of a need for them. So that being the case, just gonna cut them basic of each style. Seems better. Okay, so let's go. Maybe we can dupe some people into thinking we're playing the Shaheen list when we're really playing the Can-Man list. Seems good. Alright, so this is some Uro deck. I think what I'm going to do is just get Jason to play immediately. And we can Sea Gate Stormcaller after that. Or maybe, no, maybe we'll Stormcaller opt. That way we can kick Jace at some point. Kick him right in the fucking head. Let's make sure this taps our mana, right? I'm like, gonna be real mad if that doesn't leave a blue open. This would be a really good match to have Agonizing Remorse. Does he have like Shock or something? Intervention will probably be alright. I'll take a land. We've got Jace to like help us find action. This isn't like the most powerful thing. It basically lets us get a 2-1 into play for free and like kind of regas our hands up to the same spot where we were. Yeah, it's alright. Let's see. So he is playing something. Is this like the? There's like a Bant version of this deck. You can't cast Omnath next turn, so I'm not too worried about that. Let's go ahead and just get Jason to play here, I think. No. We'll leave up Thassa's Intervention, that's what we'll do. Thassa's Intervention, and then eventually we can convert these drowns into something. I guess he could cast Omnath this turn, in theory. Yeah, if he goes for it here, we'll just Thassa for 1, I guess. Well, thank you. I think I'm willing to take the shields off for 1 turn. Shields down, rather. Yeah, sure. We'll draw that for our turn. Extinction's pretty good here too. I think what I want to do is I'm going to keep E to Extinction, but I'm going to Sea Gate Stormcaller Blood Chief's Thirst to clear the way. So we'll have Jace take a point here. Actually, you know what? I could just Sea Gate Stormcaller kick up Blood Chief's Thirst to kill Lotus Cobra and Teferi. I think I like that better. Obviously, I'm killing Cobra. Cool. That was a nice little display of the getting around the limitation of 2 CMC or less. Got E2 Extinction coming up here. Okay. Not either. This is definitely like the Corey Baumeister list. This is like the only one I've seen that has Dream Trawlers in it. We can't really force him to in his entire hand and then kill it. We're gonna have to try and do that like end step. Shoot in the dark here. Sick, dude. Okay. So if he like plays anything here, I'm gonna go for it. Stupid, I should have done it right then. I was thinking. See, now I look like a genius for having Pharika's Libation in my deck. Like, his is the only one that has Birth of Meletus in his deck as well. Ashiok's good. Let's see, so I'm trying to think of a way for me to exhaust his hand and get Ashiok into play finish. So I can E2 Extinction. If I had one more mana this turn, I think I could do it, because I'd E2 Extinction, drown, and the next turn we could drown Ashiok. But I think I kind of need to start getting shit out of his hand anyway. Like, set up for that potential. I think I'd much rather try to eat right now, anyway. Because then, like, I could set up for Ashiok plus Drown to tap it next turn. We could also do a thing like, so if I Ashiok, bounce the wall, then he has to exile a thing from his hand. So that's a way to get a card out of his hand. I think there's a world where we can make this work. gets the wall out of the way for our Stormcallers to start hitting them. Gets that out of the way. Play this, blue source. I'm just gonna Scribe with Jace, I don't see a reason to risk throwing him away. Chief's Thirst. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I kind of actually want to try and resolve this Sea Gate Restoration. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw that for the turn, and then provided Jace lives, then I can untap and do the Blood Chief's Thirst. Like, draw Blood Chief's Thirst off of Jace, and he only takes 1 as opposed to dying to get Sea Gate Restoration. So we're going to try and tempo him out a little bit here with these Drowns in the lock. A little easier said than done, but we'll see what happens. Neutralize rather, is a pretty good pickup, because it fills in the gap that we're going to have from using these as removal spells rather than counter spells. I think I'm okay losing Ashiok here. Oh, he's gonna do that. I think I just have to force his hand then. Alright, so we're gonna lose both of our walkers here, which fucking kinda sucks. Hopefully he plays something here, like a land or something. It's not that stupid. I guess I could just try and draw a shitload of cards with Sea Gate Restoration and see where that takes us. I don't have any dual lands, this is ridiculous. Alright, whatever. Alright, Shaheen, let's see what your card can do here. We're not blocking anything, so. So if we spend Blood Chief's Thirst, then drown, we still can't kill Dreamtrawler. We need him to get like 1 fewer cards down. I'm willing to double block Omnath with these Sea Gate Stormcallers if we get that opportunity. I guess I could play a kick Jace and then Thirst the Shark. How much mana do I have? I have 2. Or I can do all of that. Whatever. I think we gotta kind of make some Hail Mary plays here. Guess we'll keep 1. Ooh, Extinction Event. There's our fucking out. Nice. Attacks. I guess I do have to kill this shark so that I can hopefully keep one of these Jaces around. Cross our fingers anyway. Yeah, Extinction Event is going to save our ass here. That'll clean up his entire board. I guess in theory I could Drown in the Lock to tap his Dream Trawler. If he wants to attack into the Sea Gates, we'll make the trade. What could he have? He could have a lot of shit, to be honest. I think I just have to let him have a Jace. Oh, he's gonna double block. He's going for me. Okay. He has like a backup Uro here, or a Omnath or something. That'd be pretty spicy. Thank God for Extinction Event. His mana is like god awful. Like barely even cast his Uro on both halves. In fact, he cannot right now. Alright, so scry it up. I think I like both of these, to be honest. So I'm gonna 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm gonna Extinction Event and then hold up Drown, or Drown Neutralize or something. And then I want to Agonizing Remorse to get this Uro out of here. So I can counter the Uro and then be done with it for good. So yeah, say done here. We'll see if this changes anything, like if he has a way to interact with this. Say even. Goodbye Dream Trawler. And say go. I have a feeling like he's got a pretty decent amount of air over there. This is the best way to trade profitably with it. So we'll just do that. Neutralize is worse than Drown in the Lock in almost every situation. Actually, let's see. So he's going to get, what, 2 cards off of this or something? We have the Planeswalker Kill spell on the top of our library. I think I'd rather save Drown in the Lock in case he has, like, Genesis Ultimatum or something like that. Got it, boss. Alright, so there's that. We're gonna get Blood Chief's Thirst. Scry. Ugin's a good pickup here. What does this put this Jace at? 4, so we can draw Ugin and neutralize next turn. So let's get Teferi out of here. We're gonna do this before we Agonizing Remorse him, because we want to make sure to have, like, the best card possible out of his grip, if that's what he ends up going to. We can also just Agonize Remorse, get this Uro out if that's what it comes down to. 5/6. I'm okay, actually, if he wants to like tap out for Dream Trawler. Well, let's see. So it's way easier to drown in the lock an Uro after Uro has escaped a couple of times than it will be a Dream Trawler. And I don't care about Amaria's Call when I have Ugin on the top of my library, so let's just get this guy out of here. I just don't want to deal with that. My gut says he's going to go with Uro, which is what it looks like. That's what I'm going to do. Since we know we have a Neutralize as well, I'm actually just going to counter this. That's fine. Play our Ugin. Wow, he's actually going to play that? Okay. Check this out, buddy. And we have a Drown in the Lock to back it up. So we're gonna lose this Jace. Or no, it's a 3 cost. Just to be on the safe side, let's go ahead and get the Neutralize while we can. We will exile X-2. Yeah. I was pretty sure that was correct, I just wanted to make sure. Don't really need any other lands for now. Say go. He can get back an Uro if he wants now. Shark Typhoon. I don't believe I want that sticking around. Alright, cool. Tighten the thumb screws into submission. That was fucking game 1, dude. Jesus Christ. Alright, so what do we not want? Mauling seems pretty bad. Honestly, a lot of our stuff doesn't seem that bad. Libation I will take. Yeah, well, you know, it's not always about the life total, I guess. Essence Scatter seems really good here. I think that's probably better than Ashiok and Eat to Extinction. Although Eat to Extinction does counter or destroy Planeswalkers. Most of the stuff that Eat is going to trade with will already get a card up, so that's not a good exchange. I'd rather be able to stop it on the way down if possible. So this gives us 8 counter spells, plus Thassa's intervention, I suppose, so 9 counter spells. Plus we have a way to deal with a resolved Dream Trawler if there's nothing else in play. Extinction Event plus Libation, so that gives us 3 ways actually. We can Ugin, I guess, for a total of 4 ways. Essence Scatter to counter it too, so I think this is okay. I just don't want him to have like a Lotus Cobra Dryad opener. That's what's gonna really kick our ass. Most of the other stuff I'm not scared of. What else did he have? He had Elspeth Conquers Death. I didn't see any other, like, big hitters, so... yeah, let's try this. I didn't realize this was going to take so damn long, so we're only, unfortunately, going to get 1 round in with this deck. Isn't great, but Remorse is one of the better draws. Opener. Especially if we can, like, spike a Stormcaller. Come on, Stormcaller. There we go. So So basically, I'm just going to try and hold up Thassa's Intervention for 1 next turn, and then hit him with the double Agonizing Remorse. And hopefully our Intervention will actually counter something. Unlikely with this stupid Cobra in play, but I guess we drew Neutralize, so there is that. Please go for, like, Omnath or something. I think I'm just going to spend the Intervention. This might be really hard to convert a little later on. Yeah. Take 2 points here. Oh man, next turn is going to be so sweet. Just to be safe. Hell yeah. Ooh. I think we just take both Trawlers here. I could see taking Cobra Trawler. He plays a fetch land that gets him Trawler next turn, though, so we can't take that risk. And, I've got to neutralize for his Ugin. We've got plenty of counter spells in the deck. I guess if he plays Lotus Cobra and then, like, draws a fetch land after that, then he has Ugin, but we'll have a counter spell up by then. And if he offers the trade here, I'm snap blocking. This 2-1 doesn't mean anything to me. Hell yeah. Thanks, bro. It's not a bad draw. Do I want to take 5 damage to draw a card next turn? Probably not. Put me to 9 after the Cobra hit. Alright, I guess. He's on 3 land. Yeah, fuck it. Well, it's tapped anyway. Yeah, I forgot. I don't have a swamp in play. There's no Watery Grave anymore, so... Gotta get it into play at some point. Is he just gonna play, like, Naked Elspeth Conquers Death here? No. Alright. Cool, well, that didn't take that long after all. Sweet. And we got to level up. Okay, well, I don't know how good this deck is, to be honest. It's real slow. Super slow. Yeah. I always seem to get those, like, random concedes. I don't understand. I don't know if I'm just, like, lucky or what. Okay, so we'll do a brief recap. So that was pretty sweet, I have to say, getting to Stormcaller Agonizing Remorse. That was a lot of fun. I really think this card has a lot of potential. It might not be exactly where you're supposed to be right now, but damn is it fun, though. I liked it in the other deck as well, getting to use a bunch of cheap removal spells. Although I think the flexibility that black brings over red could potentially be better. Because you get your 1-mana removal spell with Bloodchief's Thirst. You don't need Shock or, you know, anything like that. Plus, this also, like, kicks up way better in the late game. Like, Shock's pretty garbage after about turn 4 or 5, if not even earlier. Whereas this card can be perfectly serviceable. Getting to do, you know, this is really good. Getting to do that is really good. Doubling down on, you know, Opt, we still have that option. So I just think that card is a lot of fun. Yeah, Kicker is one of the best mechanics they've ever come up with. It's just, here's a card and it does a thing, but if it's like late game and you have all this mana laying around, you can have an extra effect by spending a little bit more. So, yeah, I agree. Kicker's really good. Kicker's really good. Cycling's really good. Basically, we were talking about that earlier. Stuff that gives you options. Those are like the best mechanics. Because you can, like a savvy player can find ways to use both sides of a kicker card, or determine whether or not it's right to cycle something or hang on to it for a while, kind of like we did with that wilt for a long time. Yeah, like, and that to that point, cycling is one of the best mechanics I've ever printed. Because if you're playing against like mono red, this is one of the worst cards in your deck, like historically speaking. I haven't seen mono red yet in this format. I don't know how bad it would be, susceptible to a neutralize. But generally speaking, 3 mana counterspell versus deck trying to kill you by turn 4 is not very good. So the fact that it has cycling is pretty bonkers. I would like it if there was a little bit more access to cycling in this deck, but yeah, beggars can't be choosers. We're kind of working with what we got right now. It's 5 set standard. This is going to be like the lowest power standard for a while. Anyway, I'm sure there's some refinements to be had here. It could be right to be on 4 Agonizing Remorse. I was just a little concerned about playing against some like Cleric beatdown decks or whatever, mono red, mono green, stuff where this card isn't that good. But if tonight's been any indication, and yesterday was any indication, those decks are not as prevalent at the moment, so it could be right to cut something like Eat to Extinction for the 4th copy of Agonizing Remorse, which would be nice. We can lower the curve a little bit, because it's kind of high at the moment. Yeah, it's also a good tool to get rid of Uro. Oh, that's been one of its main uses ever since it got printed. So yeah, this deck's cool. I think I'll probably end up messing around with this some more. I don't know if you need Lock Me or Serpent. This is mainly in here when the clock becomes a consideration. Like, if we had played that match out, I only had, like 12 minutes on the clock or something like that, and he had like 21. So in a Game 3 situation, I might have to bring this in purely just to race. Which is not a good plan, but it's better than just like saying, alright, well, hope I can win with some 2-1s, or 2-3s. I think that's the weakest part of this deck. It doesn't have a good way to turn the game around onto the opponent. So that could be one place to explore. Something like the super Vampire Nighthawk guy. I can't remember his name. There's a 3-mana lifelinking flyer. Might be a card to have in here somewhere. Well, it's way more than 3 power, actually. Generally speaking, it's going to be much bigger than that. Is the name of that guy, anyway. Find the keys. Vampite. I'd like to see standard, please. Out of the Ebon Legion is not standard legal. Z. This guy, Nighthawk Scavenger. Card types among cards, so it'll often be like a 4 or 5 power, generally speaking. So it could be a good thing to have in there to help close the gap. Because you can't sit back and like kill every single card over and over and over and over and over every game, Anyway, so quick recap on the other decks. So this deck was pretty sweet too. Felt like I had a much better chance at actually just like aggroing something down, but that's what happens when you have cards like Brazen Borrower and Bone Crusher Giant in your deck. Not to mention the cheeky little Ember Cleave that we got to pull off on someone. That was hilarious. So yeah, this deck's pretty cool too. These Fields of Ruin rather. I'm gonna do the same thing here. I think I'm actually. I want a Mystic Sanctuary. What do I have going on in this deck? Spell-wise, not a whole lot. We'll just add Island for. It's probably. There were a few times when I had Field of Ruin in the mana base where it was kind of messing things up a little bit. I didn't have time to activate it. Like, against the adventure decks, there's a pretty good chance you're not going to have that many targets, like maybe 1 or 2 a game. So, That's that deck. I'm sure the sideboard could use some work. This card, not sure yet. Seems like it might be okay. Might have to have a few more ways to power it up than what this deck currently represents. Like maybe you want, 10 to 12 creatures rather than 8. I guess we have 11 between these guys. We don't always take Baron out. It just happened to be that we played against like the perfect storm deck of creatures that also count as non-creature spells. So, okay, that's that. And then the Omnath ramp deck. This deck's still a lot of fun. Been really enjoying this, but it kind of feels like the other Omnath decks go way bigger than this. So I'm not exactly sure if that's a flaw in the main deck or if there are cards in the sideboard that I could be playing to shore that up a little bit. Like maybe I want less of the Fire Prophecy, Glass Casket, Shatter the Sky business after board and more like additional counter spells like Mystical Dispute to help shore up against some of the non-Genesis Ultimatum, card Escape to the Wilds and things like that. So I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean it depends on what we're playing against. That card doesn't have targets against every deck. And it, like with the way a lot of the decks seem to be going in this format, like most people aren't missing land drops very often. We ran into that a time or two tonight, but that's been an outlier so far in my experience. So being able to like force spike something or even like spell pierce a thing, that rolls off real fast. So it's good in the right context. Like this card would be awesome against the deck we just played, the blue-black deck. Just trying to like fight off our like 4 mana spells, like doing the Siren Stormcaller or Sea Gate Stormcaller rather, with a 4 mana cost spell after that. Like you just completely blow that up, and then I just am left with a 2/1. So I don't think this card is like great, but I could certainly see a path that the format goes down where it could be awesome. So right now, I don't mind having a couple of these going on in the right deck. Any final thoughts here on Omnath? So yeah, what I was starting to say, I just don't know if I need to adjust my main deck approach or if I just need to throw some more counter spells in the sideboard and maybe cut like Fire Prophecy, like 1 or 2 shatters, add a few Mystical Disputes, and call it a day. I don't know. It's hard to say. Again, Mystical Dispute's one of those cards that's like, it's really good in the early to mid game, but it falls off real fast when people are playing like Uro, Cultivate, Genesis Ultimatums. Like if they ever sneak a Genesis Ultimatum, you're probably not ever mystically disputing anything ever again. But anyway, we are going to call that a little over budget, about 20 minutes, but that's okay. Hopefully you enjoyed getting to see a little bit of what this format looks like, have a few different decks to mix it up a bit. I try not to play the same deck for an entire stream very often. I did that a little bit on the first few streams that I did, but I kind of like mixing it up. But anyway, so I'm going to get on out of here. Thanks for hanging out, Freeman. You've been here for most, if not all, of the streams, so that was cool. Appreciate that. For anyone who's not following me here, if you enjoyed what you saw, I would really appreciate the support. I will be uploading this video to my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/canman87. So if you want to check out the matches, that should be available probably in the next 2 or 3 hours, depending on how long it takes YouTube to upload it. You can also follow me on Twitch at canman87gaming. It's where I announce where I'm going live, or when I'm going live, rather, what I'll be playing, and is one of the better ways to know when I'll be streaming outside of following me here. So yeah, any support you're willing to throw my way, I will gladly accept. Otherwise, we will be getting back on here Sunday from 4 to 6 and 8 to 10. I have been considering consolidating that into one larger 4-hour stream from 6 to 10, because like that seems like how my Sundays tend to go more often, but we'll see. For now, I'm keeping it 2 and 2. But hopefully we'll see you then. If not, have a good weekend. Freeman, hopefully I'll see you there, but if not, I will see you Monday. And yeah, have a good night, everyone.